Hi everybody, this is Tom in front of the camera, Carrie is behind the camera, and you're watching Vehicle Visionary. Today, we are at Mike Morgan Hyundai to take a look at the 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe. This is the SEL trim level, and for 2022, I'm going to let Carrie kind of walk around the vehicle going this way to kind of show you a little bit of what we have here. But here are the changes for 2022. You've got the new plug-in hybrid version that on electric only can go up to 30 miles on a charge. It has a larger battery than does the more conventional hybrid version of the gasoline and hybrid engine working together. So if you're looking for that, well, you might think 30 miles isn't a whole lot, but you know what? Really, that isn't too terribly bad. So let's take a look at this Calypso Red model that we have today. An absolutely stunning color out in the sun here in Northwest Louisiana. So let me step over onto this side. We'll take a look at what we have. Interesting thing here with the headlight design is you notice you kind of have a T right here. Kind of wonder, why isn't that an H? That would look really cool if it were. But I have to admit, even with that being the case, with the way the daytime running lights are set up, the headlights here, and we've got the turn signals on, and if Carrie remembers to tell me today, I'll show you how to use those in the interior in case you don't know how to turn them on for yourself. But an overall bold look. It looks stylish, it looks bold, but it fits a compact SUV such as what we have here today with this 5-seater model, and the price is very reasonable. You also have an active air curtain right here, and I don't know how easy that'll be to see my hand through there. Might be better on the other side, but it is active. It does go all the way through the fender right here. So what that's ultimately going to do is going to improve your gas mileage when you're going down the road. So large grille here on the front end. A lot of the time I've really kind of fallen away from the interest of chrome compared to what I used to be, but I think it fits here with not only the chrome here, but with the bumper down here and just the surround all being chrome right there on that nice large Hyundai logo. I think that looks really solid. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you can expect as far as those gas mileage numbers go. Let's pop this hood open and talk about what's there. One thing I was surprised at, this is our first Hyundai SUV to feature here on the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel. I was very happy when I opened the hood and I just let go and it came all the way up. It's got those hydraulic struts that I'm a big fan of right there. We're not looking for any kind of a manual stand to put in place to prop the hood up, so that's a win right off the bat. Here's the 2.5-liter engine under the hood, the 4-cylinder, 191 horsepower and 181 foot-pounds of torque. Good news here also, not a CVT like you might expect if you're not familiar with these Santa Fe's. It's an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a front-wheel drive model. What about MPGs? I kind of teased a little bit on that earlier. 25 miles per gallon city, 28 out on the highway, 26 combined. And according to Hyundai, for every 100 miles you drive your Santa Fe with this engine under the hood, you should use 3.8 gallons of gas. All right, let's talk about tire size, 235/60 surrounding the 18-inch wheels. And the good thing about that is that you have a nice thick sidewall right here. That always means a better ride quality. So when you don't have a low profile tire, even though they look better, they look more sporty and aggressive, that doesn't give the thick sidewall to soak up the bumps when you're driving down the road. And before we take a look any further, let's look at what we have here. I know there's a little plastic on here, so we'll try and avoid any glare, but there is your remote, what that's gonna look like. You do have a remote start. You can open the rear lift gate right there. Everything you would expect to see. And then even though these are not power folding side view mirrors, they are power adjustable. Everybody's favorite right there, because when I don't talk about it, they ask, is the turn signal indicator built in? You better believe it is. And then a little more chrome here, tastefully done, balanced around the windows here with the window trim that we have. And then you have those roof rails up there that are going to have the crossbars. That's always a good thing. So that way you really increase your cargo capacity capabilities. You can put the topper up there. If you're going on a long trip, you can do whatever it is you want to do with that. And then moving back here to the rear area, I like the fact that you have a very tastefully done rear roof spoiler. That's going to help to channel air over this rear window and keep it nice and clean when you're driving down the road. But when you're sitting still and it does get kind of dirty or whatever the case is, you've got that rear window wiper right there that you can use to help keep that clean. And then You also have the power tailgate. I mentioned that earlier just a little bit and kind of alluded to that. Let's take a look at our cargo room right here. We've got a little bit of extra space here. You've got some of the tools to change the spare tire if you ever need to, and a little bit, quite a bit more space right here. And before we talk about cargo numbers, let me show you something here. You've got a couple of buttons right here that you can use to lower the rear seats if you want to. I've done one side there, but the other seat's too far back, and in fact, they're both too far back. We'll fix that and show you what they look like when they're flat. All right, I promised we'd flatten those seats down and give you the cargo numbers. 36.4 up to a pretty impressive 72.1. But that's not all there is. In fact, let me go right here. Kind of makes it a little bit easier to hop in here and show you what's going on. You can move this completely out of the way and reveal even more storage space right here. Quite creative as to what Hyundai has made possible right here. Now, in case you were wondering, I use these buttons right here along with that 12-volt power outlet, just in case you didn't see that, but I use these buttons to lower the seats here, but you can only use those to lower the seats. You're gonna have to come over here and pull up on the lever on the side of the seat to put that back in place, but that's not too hard to do. Now, what's really interesting is there's additional cargo space. No, I'm not about to sell you some OxyClean, but there is additional space here. That little area we showed you right behind the rear seats, well, you can take that partitioned kind of area out. It's more of an insert, and here's what you can fit in here if you want to. There's so much room that you can put your kids in there if you'd like to. We've got Jeremiah and we've got Jacob back here. These are Carrie's grandkids. You know, it's kind of amazing that Carrie has grandkids. I didn't know he was that old. All right, let's get started by showing you the door panel over there. You do have a decent size and fairly deep, even though it doesn't look like it, door bin right there. I don't know that you could fit a very large bottle of protein powder, the blender bottle, in there, so you might have to call shotgun or just hold it in your lap, because I guarantee you that neither one of these cup holders are large enough to hold that bottle of protein powder. But here's your cup holders and the fold-down armrest, and then something that I found very interesting here. I'm going to practically disappear because I'm going to recline back in the seats. I mean, look at how far back that goes. Let's see here. Let me hop over on this side. Maybe we can give you a little bit better view of how far these things recline. I mean, good night. I can't even, no matter what I do, I can't even reach the front seat from here. So that's a very interesting feature. And then we also have the window shades right here that are manually put in place on both doors. Dual air conditioning vents on the rear of the console, along with dual USB ports. So unless you get in here quick enough and plug in your USB, well, you may be kind of out of luck on that if you're the third passenger back here. And last but not least, let's look up. A panoramic sunroof. Very nice. I've seen high-end SUVs that cost twice as much, if not more, than this Santa Fe that don't have that as an option. Now, if you're going to be a passenger in this Santa Fe and you're thinking those rear door bins are not big enough, well, you've got a larger door bin right here on the passenger side front door. You could definitely put a larger bottle, a blender bottle in there of your protein powder. You could put your beef jerky and your other snacks in there. And heck, if you even wanted to cheat and have some Skittles or some Starbursts and not let anyone know what you're doing, maybe it's cheat day, well, you could hide those in there too. Or you could even hide them right up here. There's enough space up there to do it, where you could just stick a phone or two up there. There's quite a bit of room. And what about within the glove box? Really just kind of a conventional size, but there is a reasonable amount of space within that area. But let's have Carrie go ahead and hop on inside the front seat here, and we'll take a look at what you have here on the dashboard. And I really like the fact that you have these multiple driving modes. So here we are, just starting out with not bad. It doesn't look bad at all, but when you use the dial selector here to change modes, we're in comfort right now. Let's go down here to smart. Well, don't see a change there, but do you see a change on sport mode? That looks awesome. I really like what Hyundai has done here. So that's a really nice look for sure. And then right over here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel, I promised I would show you this. Watch this. It's a neat trick. If you were changing lanes to the right or turning to the right and there was someone behind you, you flip that into the up position and see that arrow blinking away right there? Well, that corresponds with those blinkers I showed you earlier. What about to the left? You push it into the down position. I know some of you can't afford this kind of technology on your vehicles, but maybe one day you'll be in a better financial position and you'll be able to afford that, and you'll know how to use it without having to ask your salesman for a tutorial or even watch one of my videos for a tutorial. Yes, it's okay to laugh. And steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. They're not the largest I've seen, but they seem to fit perfectly right here. So you're going to have gearing up on the right, gearing down on the left. One thing I still would like to see more car makers and SUV makers do, even though by no means is the Santa Fe high performance, but still, if you're going to use these driving in sport mode, it'd be nice if they were affixed to the steering column instead of the steering wheel, so they just stay in place. So when you're flying through the turn driving spiritedly, you can reach up there and just push the paddle to change gears, or push it to change and go gear down. So just my opinion on that, not necessarily a big thing. Tell me down in the comment section if you own a Santa Fe, do you use the paddle shifters? Curious to know. And we'll take a quick look here at our steering wheel mounted controls. Everything I think is pretty easy to figure out. You've got voice commands. You can answer and hang up on phone calls. And then everything over here on the right, cruise control. You've got your lane keep assist. There are a lot of great features here as far as safety features go, driving aids, and the center screen. We'll take a quick look at that. You've got quite a bit here. It's not hard to use, and I like the fact that it seems to be fairly responsive to the touch of my finger. But let's see what happens if I actually push on something and we see how quickly that comes up. That is pretty good. Let's try something else. We'll try our navigation right here. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the touchscreen is very responsive to the touch of your finger. So that is good. And then everything down here, you also have some one-touch buttons as far as that goes, map, navigation. You can see what's here as far as what you can do. And for those of you who like to have a knob to control the radio and navigate through your stations on the radio, control the volume and everything, well, you've got that here. And then the controls for your air conditioning, you've got dual zone climate control here. And then of course you can pretty much see what all is there. Also, something that I'm curious to know about, you do have a push button shifter right here, and that seems to be kind of a quirk for a lot of people. They don't like the push button shifters. They'd rather see the conventional style here or even on the steering column right here. Tell me what you think down in the comments. And then if you want to save the life of your starter, you can turn the auto stop start feature off, auto hold, or really brake hold mode. So when you come to a complete stop, you take your foot off the brake, it's not going to move. And then here's what I was using to select my driving modes earlier. And then your heated seats. Now heated only here, not necessarily a bad thing, but that's what you have there. And then you have a couple of cup holders, one down here, one up here, and then you also have a USB port right there. And if you want to conceal that away and make it look maybe a little bit more sleek and clean, well, there you go. And right here is going to be what really turns out to be a fairly deep console. Kind of surprised that I can reach down in there as far as I can. For a compact SUV, it's not too bad. And then we looked at the panoramic sunroof. Here are your controls for controlling the shade that we put in place, so you can see that that is there. Or you can open that front portion as well, turn on the map lights and all that good stuff. And that's what you have as far as the interior goes here in the Santa Fe. All right, real quick, I want to talk about something. Normally I would say you could put your beef jerky and all your snacks and stuff right there, and technically I guess you could, but if you open this area up right here, you've got your USB port and you've got an indicator right there. Well, what exactly is that indicator? Well, this is actually your wireless charging pad. So what's going to happen, you see how my phone just came on right there, and you'll see, we'll make sure you can see that real well, put our hand over that so you can see the shadow to give you the light. So all of that's on now because my phone is charging down here in the wireless charging area. A little bit different. The only other vehicle I've seen that in is a Cadillac Escalade. All right, we're going to start off our test drive here, and I'm not in sport mode at the moment, and I really can't do much anyway because we have some traffic in front of us here, and obviously this isn't a monster truck. I can't drive over the top of them even though they're driving under the speed limit, and I would like to. But we're not going to do that today because that'd probably be my last Hyundai test drive. But so far, what is my opinion? Well, the ride is very good, very comfortable, very smooth. And something that I find interesting here, got my hands on the steering wheel, you've got the little haunches right here that you can kind of wrap your hands around. They're just in a really good position. Different people are going to do different things in different areas. But what I like is their location is perfect. and their size is the best part. And so obviously, as far as that goes, I'm really comfortable with this steering wheel. Nice leather wrapped steering wheel. When I changed into sport mode, I could tell a little bit of a difference, and the horsepower isn't that great here, but you know what? That's okay, because for the right person, this is really the perfect vehicle, because you don't necessarily need a lot of horsepower. And keep in mind, I have more people in the car than I normally do. Got Carrie, got the 2 grandkids in the back, his grandkids back there. And so obviously we have a little more weight in the vehicle than I typically have on these test drives. So it's giving me a great opportunity to see a little bit more about what happens with acceleration. So obviously there is more than enough horsepower here to get down the road. Now, one thing that is going to be a little different here, it contributes to a great ride quality, but the fact that the suspension is really soft, so when you go through a corner, kind of like what we did back there, you're going to get a little bit more body roll than you might otherwise. That's not a bad thing, because this isn't really meant to be driven spiritedly, even though I guess technically you could do that. But I don't think people are going to say, man, I'm having a bad day, I'm going out to drive spiritedly in my Hyundai Santa Fe. Well, I don't know. Someone's probably going to make a YouTube video now where they say that, and they're going to send me the link. You never know what might happen. But overall, I must say, I'm really impressed here. Everything's easy to get to. The infotainment screen seems to be pretty easy to learn and operate. Ride quality is great. And you do have those different driving modes. If you need to get around slower moving traffic, or maybe merge onto the interstate where the speed limit's 70, or in some states 75 miles per hour, you can go into sport mode, and then once you get up to speed, you can drop down into comfort mode if you need to. But speaking of comfort, I'm going to change positions. We're going to put Carrie over here in the driver's seat and let him drive. I'm going to hop into the back seat back there and tell you what the ride quality is like. All right, guys, this is really different. Got my 2 little helpers right here helping out with the video today, and I'm sitting in the middle. I don't normally do that, but I'll tell you what, it's the perfect place to find out what the ride quality is like in the back seat. And so far, I think it's pretty comfortable back here. You're going to get a little bit more of a rough ride in the back seat of any vehicle than you do in the front, but I can tell you that it's not bad back here. I don't believe that the rear seat passengers are going to complain as we go around the corner, other than when I do something like this, or when we go to the left, I'll do something like this. Got to have some fun with that. But what do you 2 think about the ride quality back here?
I mean, it's good. I think that the ride is kind of smooth going.
I think that's a good analogy right there. A good explanation. It's kind of smooth. But really, on most road surfaces, you're going to find that it is. The thing is that here in Shreveport, Louisiana, it's a great place for testing ride quality, shocks, and suspension. And unfortunately, because the roads are not maintained very well here, well, that kind of makes things seem worse than they really are. But overall, I'm impressed with what we have back here. A great view out of the panoramic sunroof. What do you 2 think about the view?
It's actually a pretty good view from here.
I like that.
I see well, not everything, but things that I want to see up here.
It'd be nice to do a nighttime test drive. Maybe we can do that sometime in the future. But overall, I'm very impressed, whether I'm sitting in the front seat or sitting here in the back. So tell me what you think about the 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe. I guess I can say I'm really digging the color of this model, because red is my favorite color, so I'm a little partial to that. Got to say a special thanks to my friends at Mike Morgan Hyundai for loaning us this model for the day to make our video with, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. Also got to say a special thanks to my 2 helpers right here, Carrie's grandsons, and of course Carrie behind the camera. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out another of the videos that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you there.